And I know that this crash has shaken New Yorkers across the 5 boroughs, whether they are traveling today or simply watching from home, especially since it's the first fatal crash at LaGuardia in more than 30 years.
It would be like
Right now at 5:30, 2 pilots killed, dozens of others injured when that Air Canada jet collided with a fire truck at LaGuardia. NTSB now on scene, trying to learn what went wrong. Welcome back to the broadcast. I'm Christine Johnson.
And I'm Jessica Moore, live from LaGuardia Airport. We continue to follow the latest on the deadly collision on the runway here at LaGuardia. Security video shows the Air Canada plane just as it landed, colliding at 100 miles an hour with a fire and rescue vehicle. Both of the pilots died. Dozens of people were injured. A flight attendant in a jump seat plunged through a hole in the floor and miraculously survived, but remains hospitalized. The NTSB will lead this investigation. In fact, they are already on scene. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says he does not believe air traffic control staffing is to blame.
LaGuardia is a very well-staffed airport. We're a couple controllers short in total, but it is a well-staffed airport.
The FAA says the runway will remain closed through Friday morning. LaGuardia Airport has now reopened its second runway. The airport only has 2, but of course, only 50% runway traffic is causing delays. Senior transportation correspondent Kris Van Cleave joins us now from Los Angeles International Airport. Kris, you have been following air traffic controller shortages across the country for a while now. We just heard Secretary Duffy say LaGuardia is well staffed but still faces shortages. How surprised were you to hear the Secretary say that?
You know, I think going into last night's accident, you would look at the staffing at LaGuardia and say, overall, that airport's in pretty good shape compared to others. Yes, they were a few certified controllers short. They had a pipeline of people that were going through the certification process. They're moving in the right direction. They likely went into last night with what they would call adequate staffing. One of the things the NTSB is now going to look to understand is when that adequate staffing was stress tested like it was last night, where there were multiple things going on, really were there enough people in that control tower? Because what the audio sounds like is that a controller is getting overwhelmed by a progressively growing workload of juggling more and more things. So it is possible that the assumptions made about what is adequate staffing need to be rethought.
Yeah, he even admits, I was dealing with an emergency earlier, I messed up. Kris, we've seen initiatives in the past to address staffing issues. Do you think this incident will finally affect some change?
Well, so we need to understand the totality of why this accident happened. It takes time to train air traffic controllers. That's a multi-year process, and to be certified to operate in the New York City airspace, that's the most complicated airspace in the country. That certification alone can take a year or more. So getting air traffic control staffing fixed in the New York City area is not a quick solution. You know, the Secretary of Transportation has made it very clear that addressing the controller shortfall is a priority for his team, and they are working to do that. But I think there are other things we got to look at here. It is highly likely that the frequency that the controller was communicating with the fire truck was different than the one that was being used to communicate with the pilots. So those Air Canada pilots likely never heard that call that that truck was going to cross the runway. And I think the other thing to remember, before a plane comes into land, they do a maneuver called a flare, where they bring the nose up a little bit to lessen the impact when it lands. If they're flaring when that happens, it raises what they see. They may not have even seen that fire truck until their main gear was down and the nose comes down and touches down. And by that point, it's too late to do anything for those pilots.
Yeah, that's a great observation. Kris, I almost hesitate to even ask you this, given the misery that airline passengers have faced lately. But what do you think travelers should expect at airports? We've already been struggling with the government shutdown, these hours-long TSA lines. What should people expect? What's your advice?
Well, I think there are 2 different thoughts here. There's the safety of the aviation system, which is not impacted by the wait times at security. You know, I got on a flight this morning with 0 concerns about my safety. So, you know, I think flying remains the safest form of transportation we have. Separate from that, you have this mess at airports across the country, a situation that appears to be getting worse by the day. The best thing flyers can do is to leave themselves enough time. I think check your airport's website. Most airports are at least trying to give you an estimate as to TSA wait times, although I saw JFK today announce they were suspending their wait time calculator, so that's a little frustrating for flyers. But you know, if you're at an airport that is having issues, understand that that might be a 3-hour process, not the 30-minute process you're used to, and you just have to prepare for that and hope that there is a solution, a political solution in Washington to end this stalemate that has these TSA workers showing up every day and not knowing when their next paycheck will come. You know, I mean, I don't think people understand that the average salary for a TSA worker is between $45,000 and $55,000 a year, and now in a span of what, 6-7 months, the country has asked them to stay on the job, missing multiple paychecks twice. Think about that.
Yeah.
It is remarkable that so many of these folks are showing up to work every day.
It is. Kris Van Cleave, thank you so much for your time and your insight. We appreciate it.
Sure thing.
And do stay with us for continuing coverage of the LaGuardia runway crash. You can find all of our information at cbsnewyork.com.